Hi there, this is Samaya from the Spirit Portal. Hope you're all well. We're here to talk today about something that's quite key really. It's about our belief systems. We all know that our beliefs create our reality, and that if we resist releasing our old limited views, we can end up holding ourselves back from creating the life we desire and long for, okay? And it's really for this reason that I put together this video. These are 8 steps that will help you identify, own, and finally release all outdated belief systems that are not serving you anymore. Now, my intention is to demonstrate that however disrupting change can be, it doesn't always have to come with a big bang. In fact, these particular 8 steps encourage a slow, organic alignment with our new perspective, which essentially is all about aligning with our deeper self, our deeper needs. Now, the way we do so is through the use of a key exercise that will help show you exactly where you hold your limited belief systems, and there will no longer be a mystery for you. So we start with step 1. Start by setting the intent that you are willing and want to identify and own your limited beliefs. Now, this is quite important, and we need to be absolutely certain that we are willing and wanting to access this new perspective that is lacking those limited beliefs. That is the only way that we will be able to release them. Setting the right intent starts us off on the right note, so do not overlook it. To know how much you're resisting knowing your limited beliefs, just notice how it feels in your body to be setting the intent to release your belief systems. Just notice how it feels in the body and where perhaps you hold more of the tension and the resistance as well. Then breathe into that space to help release whatever holds you back. Step 2. Focus on asking yourself this one question. If time, energy and money wasn't an issue, how would I be choosing to live my life? If time, energy and money wasn't an issue, how would I be choosing to live my life? Now, I've chosen to use this type of area, an issue, as a template for this video, as the whole area of life path and choices seems to be one of the most prominent concerns for people these days. However, you are to adopt and craft your own question that are to serve identify your limited beliefs around any area in your life. For example, it would be about picking suitable partners for yourself and having limited belief systems about the current partners you attract. It could be about the kind of friendship you want in your life. It really is up to you what question you'll be asking, depending on what you really need to know. Now, asking the universe questions has a tremendous power and potential that we often seem to take for granted or underestimate. If only we saw what happens when we ask questions purposefully, we would do it more often as a practice. Going to step number 3, let your imagination show you the way. So you've asked your question, now let your question open you to a new space of knowing, a deep, open space where true inquiry can really reach your soul. From the not knowing, eventually true knowing will emerge. Now, it's really important not to interfere with the answer, but really to let that unconditional truth come and find you. Let it reveal itself to you as it is. Don't try and block it. In fact, treat it as a hypothetical question. Some of you might say, well, isn't this a hypothetical question anyway? I'm not quite sure that it is. You see, in my view, any question we put out there that has the power to help us align with our truer, more authentic self is not really a hypothetical question, because what it ends up doing is the exact opposite of hypothesis. It turns our inquiry into a reality. Okay, so it's not really quite a hypothetical question. Now, moving into step 4, we need to engage in internal dialogue between old and new perspective. At some point, you will start getting an idea as an answer to your question, how would I choose to live my life? The universe will also start throwing you cues and synchronicities linking to your question. For instance, if you find out that you wish to go traveling for a few years, You might end up meeting with people who are either in the middle of the travels or they've gone traveling and they want to share their experiences with you. It could be things around traveling. The dialogue that you start happens between your new perspective self, which is your hypothetical self, already living the life that you desire, which is the life of travel, and the old self, which is more like your current self with the limited beliefs. Now, the dialogue and exchange between the two selves will highlight two key themes. A, what in our lives we are resisting, and B, what fears we hold around impossible change. Now, what you need to do is to just simply allow your new self show what the old current self is missing out on, by giving the old self the lowdown on why this amazing new life choice has been worth it. Therefore, the new self will show you where you hold back through what it has to say. For example, to be more specific, let's assume that when you enter into dialogue, your new self-perspective goes on to say how they love traveling because it helped restore a youthfulness in them and a vibrancy about their life. Now, that highlights that somewhere in your psyche you hold a limited belief system that you are too old to travel. Or the new self is enjoying relating to the world in a new way where it's not being led by the work identity and the lifestyle around the work. So this highlights that somewhere your current self feels stuck in your work role. So your limited belief system might have something to do with needing your work to feel validated as a person. So you can see a little bit of how this works. The information you get from the new self is actually your limitations reversed. Yeah. So we had the new self sharing its experiences, then we need to have the old self sharing some of its fears and resistances around traveling. It could be, for instance, leaving family behind, particularly older parents, or it could be really not knowing where to go and what to do. It could be so many really different reasons depending on the situation and the person. So now you have your old perspective self and your new perspective self going dialogue. You might even find a way of marrying one with the other. For instance, you might work out that you can do traveling and work on the same time to sustain yourself. There's just so many different ways of doing things, and that could just be one of them. Which takes us to step number 5, identifying and releasing our fears and resistances. So the previous step has already helped you identify your fears when new and old self having a bit of a chat. And really we had the old self naming the fears. Now it's really important that we do not judge our fears and limitations, but we see and accept them. They are there to be loved and then let go of, but not rejected. Why do we need to love something that we're about to let go of? Because by doing so, we reconcile conflicting desires within ourselves. And it also helps create less resistance, which makes the letting go easier, and we become softer in the process. To really celebrate the letting go of your fears, you might even want to do a wee little ritual where you get to write down all your fears and resistances on a piece of paper, and then you can burn them, and you can have close friends or witnesses around you when you do so. So really that can be a very helpful thing to do, but also you might want to repeat the breathing exercises where you breathe into your body and your blocks. It's the exercise we did at the end of step number 1. So a few things to do there. Moving on to step number 6, understanding the root of our fear for change. Now, this is the point where I wish to address a bigger fear that lies under most of our fears in the collective consciousness. And it's about our fearing change. I feel that one of the reasons as humans fear to clear the limitations from our lives and resist doing so is to do with the fear of the change being so drastic it will blow our lives apart. Okay, we won't know how to deal with the change. However, if you take a good look at your own life so far, you'll see that change has not always been as drastic and as dramatic. In fact, most times it's been more of a slow and gradual event, right? And we can also always ask for that to be the case anyway. You see, I think that drama is often fear accentuated, unable to be contained, that ends up blowing up and creating the upheaval. So how can we allow constructive change to take place? Well, when we choose to live mindfully, our heart-mind connection is aligned on a day-to-day with our speech, decisions and actions. We are much more likely to then notice a change coming ahead, and we're more allowing of our feelings to be processed and to stay true to what we need to do for our highest good. So the mindful, aligned and organic way of being really allows us to hold a good container on all that is taking place, including fear, which will end up bubbling up and will eventually melt away. Meditation is a brilliant tool also for creating our internal container that holds space for things lovingly. So it's another thing to try out. So I suggest, if you don't want the change to be so dramatic, to simply deal with your fears. In fact, I suggest that whatever happens, you decide to face your fears anyway. It will really prove to be a good thing in your life. So how do we deal with our fears? Firstly, by allowing all the fears and resistance to come up, and then by fully feeling them, embracing them, owning them. If you're a creative type, you can even choose to personify and humanize them as various characters with personality traits, with particular looks. You can have them sit down on chairs and let them talk to you. Let them tell you the truth or lies to the very core of their being. Once the fears get listened to, they tend to not have a need to be listened to exist anymore. And they shift through to something much more empowering and positive. It's the same as if we're addressing children's feelings with sensitivity and care. This is what true alchemy of emotions is about, and what is possible to do with it. Step number 7, allowing the possibility of the new in your life. Now, once we identify, own and talk to our fears, then the things we had been ready to let go of will start more naturally fall away. However, to remain in flow and in order to embrace our now in a powerful way, we need to also consciously make the effort to open up the way for whatever it is to follow up next. We really need to be open and willing to receive our cues and next steps from the universe for our life circumstances to take us to that next stage in making our dream a reality. So just make some space in your life for that to happen. Stay in that gap and see what reaches out to you. Leaving space for the new is brilliant for manifestation, as it's already giving the message to the universe that we know it's coming to us. So it can only but respond in our favor. And our last step is step number 8, trusting and letting go. So just like we need to be able to be soft around an issue we are wanting to let go of, similarly, we need to be able to hold softly anything we wish to see materialized. Because a firm grip around our desires will make the manifestation process so much more difficult. You can still feel intensely about something. I'm pretty intense and I can end up feeling very passionately. And I think it's very good for manifestation to also feel passionately about things. It's a bit of a contradiction there, which I think I might need to explore on a different video blog. However intense you are as a person, you still need to be able to let go the outcome. So letting go doesn't mean we're giving up on our dreams. On the contrary, it means we're just letting go of the outcome and we breathe in some air, which makes it much easier to manifest. I like thinking of letting go as the Chinese paper lanterns. They're often used with the ritualistic intent of grounding a blessing, yet they are released in the sky, never to be seen again. And they're also very beautiful. So try and think that as a metaphor or as a simile. Now, before I leave you, I wanted to briefly share with you how one of my key limited belief systems a few years ago has changed, and that it brought me a lot of good stuff actually. And really, one of my key limited beliefs a few years back was that it was only possible to sustain myself financially by working full-time. Yet on the same time, it did not really feel right anymore to be working full-time. So a new perspective of self was in the process of being created. Yet it was conflicting my old sense of self that was stuck with this archaic belief system of needing full-time work to survive. And actually, when I made the full jump in 2011, leaving my work completely to do what I loved, everything started shifting thereafter. Now I work part-time. I'm a mum, I have time for my friends, and I do the work that I love. And it's really a very different life, yeah? So it's all possible if we really have the courage and try and work with those steps that I've just explained. Now I can't even imagine going back to full-time work, and I'd like to think that I won't have to. So I'd like you to now have this dialogue with yourself and have a little meditation. In that meditation, to ask yourself, if time, energy and money wasn't an issue, how would I be choosing to live my life? But then also follow the rest of these 7 steps. Now you might already know, you might just need a bit more dialogue in finding out more about what your limited beliefs are and where they lie. You just might need to give it a bit more time. So don't forget, once you find them, to fully accept them and treat them kindly and without judgment. It's really, really important. I hope you found this video useful, and if you did, why not share with your friends? Thank you for that. And also remember that if there are any more topics you would like me to explain through this video blog, please just share them. Write an email to me on my email address below this video, which is samayantra@gmail.com, and just tell me what your topic is. I'll be very happy to put something together as a video blog for that. So I wish you well, keep dreaming and aspiring to new self-perspectives, and goodbye for now.